We are rolling.
Okay, I want to welcome everyone today to Rockland Board of Sewer Commissioners Working Session on Tuesday, August 13th. This meeting is taped for playback later on YouTube. The items on the agenda are those that we have anticipated. Other items may be discussed to the extent permitted by law. With that, I'll take a motion to open the meeting.
Motion open the meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Mr. Ross, Ms. Valley?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. The first thing is the generator update. Okay, the generator materials are all available. They're all here. We've got a kickoff meeting scheduled with the contractors in Wright Pierce, tentatively scheduled for September 10th. That may change. As you brought up, Sherry, the engineering support contract. I've asked Megan and Jesse to look at that and see what tasks are needed and what we can delete. The other thing I want to bring up to the two of you is to remember that we have 40 hours of free engineering support services from Veolia that could be applied to this. Now, my problem with Veolia is I think they will up the ante, the pricing, so it's not going to cover the full 39,000. But it should be some. If we so want to ask them, okay, which of these tasks can you do for the 40 hours? I think we're going to be grossly disappointed, but we could do that.
Yeah, because this estimate is 240 hours.
Yeah.
Right, Pierce.
And 40 hours that wouldn't be a
That'd be
dent.
nothing.
Or we just pocket that 40 hours for stuff we're gonna need down the road, which is what I would do.
That sounds like a better decision, because
Oh.
it's a drop in the bucket.
Okay, what I would like to do then on this generator support, since we have the time, let's have Jesse and Megan look at that and see what can be deleted out of this.
See what,
And then go back to them and ask for another quote. So I say we table this for the next working session. Agreed?
yep.
Okay. OPM upgrade team, stage 1 upgrade. What I have done is I printed out, just for you guys, what is basically the requirement of an outside project manager. Basically, if you read through it, we just do wipe our hands of it and give it to him or her to oversee and update us on a monthly basis, which to me is awesome.
I agree with you. This
That's
question,
budgeting and everything. They take care of the contracts, the whole 9 yards.
that means if anything goes wrong, it goes back to that.
Bingo.
Yeah,
Okay, so this is just for your own edification. What I would like to do, again, as far as the OPM, I think the scope of the participation should be to select the interview of the outside project manager, decide on the 2 members, or along with the commissioner, a commissioner that's going to conduct the interview. And I think they should stay on as like a public watchdog group on the upgrade through the duration. I think what we have to do today is come up with the size of the team, how we want it composed, so we can announce it at the meeting next Wednesday or Thursday, I think next Thursday night, and put out a request for volunteers.
okay, yeah.
So what I'd like to do is, how many members do you think should be on board with this? I initially, put this back so I have it. Initially, I was thinking the commissioners, a member, Commissioners Robin, a member of the Veolia group. John Ellard said he would participate. If we want to get someone from accounting, and 3 residents. So that gives us, what I come up with was a total of 8. Now, for a watchdog group, that may be great, and I agree with you that when we do the interviews, it should be maybe only 3 people doing the interview.
Mhm.
But for the overall team, you think that's too big?
I think that's too big, just from a management and scheduling perspective.
Well, I'm thinking when we meet, we
More
could
like
always
in
do
reverse.
Zoom. We could always do
Yeah,
Zoom
I
at
was
night.
thinking more
And,
like in reverse.
and the other thing, we could always make, accommodations Zoom. I'm looking at when they did the new school. I'll bet you there were 15, 20 people on that
Yeah.
committee, that school bid committee, yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I mean, if this is gonna morph into more, where more people wanna volunteer, as
Yeah.
far as the residents, the more the merrier. But
Okay.
we could say we'd like to start out with 8. And the main thing is getting volunteers from the public.
Mhm.
How many people would be interested?
Yes, that's what we'll do, and once we'll do that, I mean, we can put a notice up on the websites, Facebook. I'd put one up at the senior center, the community center.
WRPS.
Yeah, I was gonna
She'll
do
even write it up
WRPS,
for
and
you.
post a notice up at town hall.
She'll create it for us.
Yeah, and just, see what we can get. So, I'd probably ask Doug to attend the first meeting to explain the duties of an outside project manager to kick it off.
Mhm.
And then as the project grows, the outside project manager will once a month update that group.
Mhm.
And we can let the group decide when they want to meet, as far as he or she. And again, but they will always be updating us at our monthly meeting. I'm not gonna have them in the working sessions unless,
No,
I mean, if he has to be in a working session, that means there's a oops.
unless there's something specific to address. Yeah.
Kosha, agreed?
Yes, cool, I mean, also, could the person we hire also, he's gonna be here in the plant?
No.
No?
No,
Okay.
he'll be operating at his own house. Their own house, their own office.
All right.
They'll be basically just fielding the calls, coordinating. Everything would go through them, so we do not have to worry about it. And like I said, we just get the upgrades. And like you pointed out, if things should go awry, there is a responsible party.
Yes.
So I'll draft some kind of a notice up. I'll have it go out to you guys and look it over, make some changes if you can. Where's my?
What kind of engineer would this have to be?
It says, it's gotta be a licensed. The individual or entity serving in this role must be engaged in the practice of providing project management services for building, construction, and supervision. In addition, must be a registered architect or professional engineer with at least 5 years engineering, building, construction, and supervision. Possess 7 years of experience in building construction and service. You may assign an existing employee to serve as an OPM if that employee meets or exceeds those requirements. But as far as that, I think you're gonna see companies like Veolia, Weston Sampson, Brown and Caldwell, all bid on it. There may be people like Pat Brennan who bid on it. Again, that's what the engineering our team will decide who's best suited for it. I'm just looking at the plus that it's one less headache for us to worry about. Here's my agenda. Right here. So that's the outside project manager. Okay. Year 3, remediation, I&I remediation. We voted to proceed with the engineering design work this year. Now that the engineering design stage just this year. The repairs to remove the 70,000 gallons of infiltration and repair Hanger Street will be moved out to fiscal year 26. That may change with the next discussion, so I might as well morph into smoke testing. I'll read into a record an email I got from Courtney yesterday. Courtney is the assistant town administrator. I was hoping to make your meeting on Thursday. Last week I was unable to attend. I did get a chance to review this, and if I had 30 minutes to contact her regarding the smoke test. This came in at 11:15 yesterday morning. Quote, I spoke with Bob Galvin and Paul Sincotta, and they have briefed me on the proposed agreement for the smoke testing. I anticipate that agreement will be in our hands, the town's sewers hands, today at the latest. As I understand it, the master developer has agreed to perform the smoke testing through their engineer and provide us the results for further investigation to inform our I&I control plan. When I spoke with Paul Sincotta, he mentioned that he was hoping to schedule a kickoff meeting on August 27th with the relevant Rockland departments here at the Rockland Town Hall. Paul indicated they would be responsible for all public noticing, coordination, and relevant town departments. I know that there is a limited window for this work, and we are all eager to get this planning underway. So I want to make sure I reach out to you, connect you. They mentioned something about opera. I'm not going to mention that. Now, I took real exception to that and lost my temper, I admit, for that conversation to take place without us aware of it. If they were aware, they would have known that our last contact with the base was very early June, and we were waiting on a letter from them stating that there are no strings attached to any flow that we find. I sent a letter to Bob Galvin indicating such. And meanwhile, we had been discussing, what if we go on with that smoke testing because our window was closing.
Right.
So we continued those discussions. I spoke with Bob Galvin about an hour ago, and he said that Paul Sincotta has been in contact with Weston Sampson. I just talked to Weston Sampson out on the parking lot. They have not heard from Paul Sincotta since early June. So we have been out on the limb, so we proceeded with the information that we had in hand.
Right.
Bob was aware last week that if we didn't have, he was aware last Tuesday, I told him that if we didn't have that letter from the developers, we were going to proceed and sign that contract with Weston Sampson, which we did. We did not receive that letter. That letter did not come in till yesterday after 12 o'clock. Now, in the meantime, I just spoke with Frank again out in the parking lot, and they have already begun charging that project. They've already prepared the public notices to go out to the people. They were going to schedule a kickoff meeting from a week from Monday with the appropriate department heads once he talked to us. Now, this has left me in a total quandary. I got a response from Doug chastising me, probably rightfully so, from my rhetoric, saying this. I keep saying the sewer's in charge, and he's been telling us everything they've been doing to help, and they have been helping significantly. Things like human resources. Oh, look, you know what? They're doing their job. They'd have to do it for wasn't. Accounting 101, maybe he's given us extra accounting's given us extra help, and I appreciate the help with the OPER and all that. But also the town had a commitment to that EPA order. They had to commit a significant amount of that funding to the order, or they would have been under a lot of questions. So it wasn't just to help us out. It was to help the town out. My whole problem was that if Courtney and Allison are gonna reach out to a developer regarding a project that we have on the board, being an engineering project, they should have reached out to us first to find out what the status was. Common courtesy. That did not happen. I had promised to help Allison on that water thing that she did. That if she I mentioned that I wanted to get a group of regional towns together once we had a chance to look at regional options for sewer. Courtney ran with it, formed the meeting, and the agenda was for operations and planning. Again, I'm in a blank because with the alternative options, I was hoping to focus that and bring the other towns in on what we looked at through the CWMP, which we paid $300,000 to look at some of those options. As far as the smoke testing, I'm going to put it to the board. I spoke to Frank, he'll talk to me afterwards, but he does have time charged to this. They could take the time away from, or they could probably make it up through the payment of that other thing. The only thing I haven't even read the scope of work from the vendors yet. I don't know if they even know the areas we want done. All I know is that they will spend and pay for the smoke testing to be done. Now, with that said, there's also a follow-up investigation that needs to take place. So here's the options that I gave Bob and Doug. Here's where we are. Do we pull the contract from Weston Sampson? What I like about saying Weston Sampson, it demonstrates a consistency in our approach with the EPA. We're using the same firm. We're not going Tom, Dick, and Harry. And have the developers pay for the subsequent investigation. Or change and have them do it. It don't matter one way or the other to me how there is going to be additional costs involved. So to me the decision is, do we continue with Weston Sampson, bank the money from the developers to do the follow-up testing, strike while the iron's hot, take their money, let them do the smoke testing with a Weston Sampson engineer present. We'll insist on that. And then the $90,000 we contract with Weston Sampson to do the follow-up, or negotiate with the base to do the follow-up investigation. I'm at a real dilemma because this was a hit over the head with a bat yesterday afternoon. After, in all fairness to anybody watching this board is not getting paid for the efforts they put in, and we are spending well over, each of us, well over 30 hours a week trying to keep this thing together till we get a superintendent. Are we going to need help? Yeah. And we're looking for help. The bottom line is we are not getting any applicants through no fault of our own. So there's where we are. Now, whatever we do, we've also got to draw a fine line in the sand so we're not crisscrossing each other, because obviously I believe Courtney and Allison want to help, but they're like bulls in a china shop. And all I'm going to ask is that they run it through us first if it's sewer related. I mean, they are responsible for coordinating the infrastructure, and we do not have a rep at that meeting. But please let us know so you know what projects we got going on. We've told them what we are initially for the infrastructure, what projects we were planning. The smoke testing has changed everything, because now we're flip-flopping a lot of projects. So, with that said, I'm looking for some direction from the board.
We have to have some from Sampson on that engineer there anyways.
So,
I mean, we have to, to stay in compliance.
Well, we don't have to have them stay in compliance. As long as it's being done, we're in compliance. However, what's gonna happen, and it's just inevitable, that by switching people, engineering firms charge. If the base calls Weston Sampson for advice on what they've done and what they've found, they're gonna charge. Then, whereas Weston Sampson, if we hire them, they already have all that information present. That eliminates one thing. That's one maybe small piece of the pie.
well, I've always found Allison and Portman very helpful, and they've always reached out to see what they can do to assist us, and we help them when we can. I'd like to think this is just a misunderstanding, but if I understand the situation, we have the sewer department and Weston Sampson have already started this project.
The notice is already to
Started this
go out.
project.
I stopped it.
And then we have the base and another engineering firm ready to begin the project. The problem, as I see it, is it's going to take time for that second engineering firm to get up to speed on everything that is already known to the first engineering firm.
No, but because they were already brought up to speed during our initial meetings.
Okay.
We made sure they had all the reports they all know.
Then the next issue is who is this firm reporting to?
They're gonna report to the sewer commission.
Maybe. Who's,
They're in the sewers.
okay.
They're doing an engineering job for the sewer department.
But we've already got somebody else negotiating contracts.
He can't
So how can that
negotiate,
be?
no, he can't, they cannot negotiate contracts.
Okay.
They don't have that authority. I do not believe, I look for it in the Mass General Law. That's, I think, we declare, they can't. If that's it, they're gonna be taking over the upgrade next.
Mhm. Well, this is what I'm saying. I mean, who is the master on this project?
I would say it has to stay in the hands of the sewer department. We're under
It
this.
should, because we've got this whole project. We're 3 years into it.
More than that.
I think
Would the base
Sincata
provide
did an end
funds?
run, and I bagged him on some misrepresentations before in the past, and he might have thought he was just going to go around the sewer commission again. And I think this is his way of trying to do that, and I think we've got to assert to him no.
You're right.
Now, I've been also sitting on while we're talking about the base, the fact in that supplemental draft report that they just recently submitted, they said they're gonna use the excess capacity with the Abington-Rockland mutual agreement. I deliberately did not send in a comment to that, and I have the numbers. Abington, on an average, uses 80,000 gallons a day. Once it rains, they're over 150,000, so we're not gonna take
There's
more
no
from the
extra.
base.
Yeah.
But he's already
There's no
assuming he is. And I think Sincata's got to draw the line that if he's gonna talk sewer, he's gonna talk with the sewer department.
Mhm.
Or if he wants to talk to Allison, he talks to Allison with if he's gonna bring up sewer, with the sewer department representative.
Mhm.
There's to be no leaving us out in the cold like this again. And it cannot be after the fact.
No. No.
The last time I knew, they're gonna put septic in, now they started still
Right.
put sewer in.
Right.
Well, the word says now they're putting septic systems in. But part of it also, they're gonna use some of the Abington side to go to Rockland, which we cannot let happen. This facility can't handle it, and we've got to cut our use. We've got a facility upgrade coming on.
You're right.
Well, the bottom line is who's making the decisions for the sewer department.
It'd be the sewer commission.
That's
That's
the-
by charter,
that's the
is the sewer
commission.
commissioners.
Does.
And again, this is gonna be
That's
for
the
played
bottom
back
line.
later. And there's no, is this another way to get a charter change taking over sewer? I don't know. Do I care? No.
No, doesn't matter.
But what I am, that we are charged with doing a job, and we're doing that job. And these Murphys We're talking a lot of money here. A mistake could cost a lot of money. Is the town gonna kick in for that mistake? Probably not.
And we're limited to how much flow we can have go out the back of the building here.
Oh, but no, it's not a matter. We're talking the smoke testing and we're talking
Yeah.
out. I've got to find out exactly
So-
how much time Weston Sampson's has got in on this. And there's got to be a firm directive to Syncada that if it's a sewer matter, a sewer project, he's going to have to go through us. He can talk to Courtney, he can talk to Jesus Christ for all I care. But we're the ones spending the money. We're the ones needing to know where it goes.
Do we send an attorney letter saying no one else has the
Well,
authority?
Galvin wants a call from me after I talk to
Mhm.
I don't know what to say. I
Well,
don't say. I think the
I
first
think
Galvin. I think we can deal with one thing first.
I think, yeah, there should be a conversation with Courtney and Allison.
I think we have to
explaining-
coordinate with Weston Sampson first. Then maybe invite Courtney and Allison into a working session next week and say, look, here's what we got to do. We can't have this again. We're talking too much money.
Right. Well, I think the conversation needs to be that they can't enter these agreements without us.
Well, at least that's what the law book says.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the first step, is that whatever is occurring between Courtney and Allison and these other contractors, if it is regarding a sewer matter,
Just bring
that
us
is
in the
not authorized.
Right. We don't have a representative at their meeting, but give us the courtesy of bringing us in
Then
on
they
the
should be
loop.
sending us minutes or something.
Or-
I mean,
Until we have a representative at the table at the infrastructure meeting, send us the copy of the minutes of the meeting, so we know what's going on and we can comment.
yeah. You know, again, I believe their intentions were true, but it's just not something that we can allow.
I do too, but the idea, again, what threw me is all the effort and time. And I mean, I've been on the phone with Calvin to get a hold of Syncada and them, and nothing. Did the base expect us to stand still?
I don't know.
And again, Paul Syncada, the base, even by covenant, they do not dictate who does the
No, that is not their decision.
engineering work. That's our
That
decision.
is our decision, so.
That's
you
even
know,
in the basement.
that's
They
the
have
next
no say.
conversation.
You're absolutely right.
That's the next
many-
conversation.
So
is
I
to
say,
notify
another
them.
thing, say, look,
And-
give us the money and we will do it for the same amount of money.
Yep,
So we're not changing course in this action.
right. Now, whoever's gonna have that conversation with Mr. Syncada, it can be Allison Courtney if they prefer. I mean, or it can be on a more formal basis.
Well, the thing is, they said they could do more than what our scope of works. Like I said, I have not looked into it. I don't believe it is. No one gives anything away for free. They said it could be cheaper because they're not paying prevailing wage. This is an engineering test. We're not paying prevailing
Whoa.
wage.
What?
We're not paying any prevailing wages. Prevailing wage don't come into effect on this. Weston Sampson's doing the testing.
I guess I would leave it with you to review what they intend to do, but it continues to go back to it was not authorized. It's not an authorized action. If we don't authorize it, it should not be done. And it just, from a logistics standpoint, it just doesn't make sense to switch horses in midstream.
I mean,
You're right.
what is it to me?
You
What
know,
is
it
the
just doesn't
difference?
make
Say,
sense.
look, you were gonna spend
Why-
your
why
money,
do
just
that?
give us that same amount of
Yeah.
money and we'll do the testing.
Yep, yep,
I'm afraid they're gonna stiff you on it.
yep. I mean, they were.
My
they were
problem
good to
is
us
just like
and
the
they
fox
provided-
walking the chicken coop. I mean,
Yeah, they provided the peer review funds. They were good about that, and we used them as needed. this should be the same process.
Let me talk to Weston Sampson and Galvin. So what I'm taking out of this, and please correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. Continue on the course we're doing with the base, just giving us the money to fund the project. They're gonna get access to all the data. It's gonna be public record. If they're doing more than Weston Sampson,
Mhm.
then it's up to Weston Sampson to belly up to the bar and do it.
Mhm.
Apples for apples,
Mhm.
or turn it down.
What kind of project updates was Weston and Sampson going to give us?
For,
Just for the smoke testing? Were they gonna give us any status updates as they go along, or just end the project?
well, the smoke testing should only take place for like maybe 3 days, and they'd give us a summary report.
Okay.
Anyone who does it would do that.
That's it? Oh, okay.
Wow.
Alright.
Were they doing the whole town or just part of the town?
Would probably, the way Weston Sampson's projected would be over 80% of the town.
At least 80%.
I have it right here. 140,000 linear feet, over 80% of the total flow, 80% of the town. GIS mapping will be performed. I didn't see that in the other scope. I don't know, I'm gonna be on the phone a long time tonight.
I'm waiting for a phone call now anyways.
So,
Did you have somebody knocking your door about,
I really don't mind. But the thing is, if we were overstepping their toes, it'd be the first to probably call Clifford and Kenny and get them on us.
well, I mean,
Am I rambunctious? Yeah, but you know what? When you put a lot of work into something and you're not getting compensated for it, and then you get a Murphy, that's unfair. And it wasn't fair for Sin Carter to say to the town he would do it. It's up to each department gets to designate, every department, planning, highway, what engineering firm they want to use.
maybe it would have been considered if it had been sent to us. I don't know.
I don't know, I mean, I'm
But
looking at this after the
I
fact,
just-
but
it
here's
is-
what I
it
know
is-
that's done.
It's after the fact. Unfortunately, we were not apprised of this actions, and
Okay, here's what's already been done. Public notification forms have been printed, ready for distribution to property owners in the testing area. It'll provide sample public notice language, public notification platforms such as newspaper, town websites, social medias, and all we are responsible for posting it on the platforms. That's done.
this is from Weston.
A voicemail line is set up, ready for the property owners in the testing area to call if there's any concerns. Return calls will be placed to the addresses of concern. A department meeting for those involved, highway, fire, police. A department meeting with highway, fire, police, and others will be scheduled for the end of the following week, next week, with concerns regarding the smoke testing program. They're in the process of coordinating their crews now.
and you had to cancel them?
Huh?
And you had to cancel them?
That's what I don't know. I would say, look,
I think
we've
it's
already
fine.
started down this path. Let us proceed. It's same in any other department. You get to pick and choose your engineers. The caveat here is they're giving us the money.
Mhm.
There's no way I want to throw that money away.
I know.
Where there's no reason why we can't make an exception to this. But they've already started.
Well, that's it. If we had known ahead of time, or if
Now,
we'd
they've
known,
expended labor
if
at
we had
this.
known talks were being engaged in,
Uh.
then we might have approached it differently.
And they said they're gonna have to compensate Western Sampson for any time spent.
Being that this other company is an engineering firm, I'm sure they have the same,
Oh, they qualified, did them names, I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
yeah,
I'm not sure,
I'm sure it's all the
I
same.
don't question that at all.
it's all the same. It's just, we didn't know, we have already signed our contract. I mean, is there some?
We already signed the contract, because.
We might be
I didn't
legally
hear.
obligated.
It's not my job to chase them, I'm sorry.
We may already be legally obligated, and there is not a question.
You're right. I haven't thought of that.
Well, let me see where we want to put Frank on that. I don't mind working with anybody, I mean, we're transparent as hell. But please keep us in the loop too, it's a two-way street.
I think a quiet conversation with Allison or Courtney, find out.
Okay, so that's a smoke date, that's a test. Updated waiting list. Wait a minute.
Mhm.
Here's a letter of standing with the base now. Let me just quick. Master developer willing to work with the town to identify illicit connections and
There's no date
solicits.
on that.
Huh?
There's no date on that.
I know that, yeah, well, they want this signed. Letter of understanding, currently understands that understandings have been reached between the master developer and the town regarding the master developer's agreement to conduct at its sole expense a smoke testing program in certain areas of the town to identify illicit connections. I think we could change. If we edit this, I'll give it to Bob and see if he wants him to agree with it. Through the Rockland Sewer Commissioners. Kindly indicate smoke testing program. The smoke testing program will engage Tetra Tech to perform the smoke, Tetra Tech to perform smoke testing. Scope of services Exhibit A. They did not even give me Exhibit A. We can't do anything until I say Exhibit A.
Okay.
Kickoff meetings with public officials, information and public data collection, public notification done. Same thing, they're gonna basically do the same thing, but what areas and how much more are they going to do? I've got to see there. Wait a minute. At its sole cost and expense. I also want to see with no obligation of flows. There's nothing mentioned here about the flows. Which was the hang up to begin with. Now I want to see the appendixes. Okay, I just texted Bob Gowan that they need to send, they being the developers, need to send a complete package with appendices for comparison. And the prevailing wage does not apply to either party, so that's not an excuse they can use. Okay, we can't do anything till we see the whole package.
I'd like to know if we're,
And I'm not gonna be able to read that, the whole thing until tomorrow. I mean, it's gonna give me a day to go through both of them. I'm not gonna do it tonight.
keep in mind that we did sign that contract. So
I know that,
I
that's why,
think that's gonna be a factor.
well, they got right in here, they have a thing that says, under indemnification, binding agreement, severability, if any term or provision of this letter shall to the extent term invalid and unenforceable, the remainder of this letter understanding.
No, I'm talking about the one we signed
Yeah.
in Weston.
We've already signed all these, the indemnification, the binding, and the severability.
Request.
So, yeah,
So I think we're,
that's
I think we're
Galvin's
committed.
law.
But,
All right,
next
so,
on the agenda.
next on the agenda. What's my agenda? I think the next on the agenda is the, user list.
Wait
Upgrade.
list.
Wait list. Couple things I want to go over the wait list. I mentioned to you last week that I was sending out a notice of violation to NOAA paving on that driveway matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta make sure Robin sent that out. The next question we're gonna have on the waiting list, and who's been very pushy, is 59 North Avenue. They have been calling me.
I thought they were gonna be invited.
They're inviting to the next meeting, but I'm just bringing you up to speed that,
Did they send us anything?
no, they did, they sent, that's what I mentioned to you last week,
Oh,
that
yes.
you've got to look at the,
Yeah, I got it.
the drawings, and you gotta look at the moratorium. Now that we're in open session, here is my concerns on the project. Now, I'd like to read this into the record. I sent a copy of this to Mr. Carr. And this is my file notes from me that I'm sharing now with the board in open session. They have not seen this till now. This project will be a change of use for a structure located at 59 North Avenue that is converting from a commercial use to a residential use. The intent of the project is to convert an existing commercial building, which currently has a sewer connection or stub, into 2 residential units. One unit will have 4 bedrooms, 440 gallons a day, and the second unit will have 2 bedrooms, 220 gallons a day, for a total of 6 bedrooms. The Title V calculations will give this project a total base flow of 660 gallons a day, therefore will be considered a large user. The project will not require a grinder because the flow will be less than 1,650. The previous flow amounts and the previous use flow amounts were quite small, less than 300 gallons a day, and I'll provide the data with that, which I have at home, I'll still do. Under the 2023 amended Rockland Board of Sewer Commissioner moratorium, this project meets the terms contained under change of use on page 9 in sections 10.1, 10.2, and 10.4. It does not meet 10.3, which is a higher use. Okay, so you have to pay attention to that and look at that. The project also does not meet any of the 6 conditions established on page 3 and 4 for current moratorium. For the record, our current 12-month rolling average for flow for reporting purposes is now 2.75 million gallons a day. That is down significantly, and it's because of the hard work of this board in Weston, Sampson, and Wright Pierce. So what I'm asking you to do is look at my concerns in this letter. If you have any other concerns, you voice them at this meeting next Thursday night. Is it a small project? Yes. The problem I have is setting a precedent of exception. If we make exceptions once for one guy, we gotta do it for everyone. Now, the moratorium states that we can review the moratorium every April and September. We could tell him we want time to review the moratorium. If he wants to appeal it, we deny him because he doesn't meet the moratorium. But say we can grant him 60 days of appeal till we review the moratorium and see if we want to amend it again. And again, I'm not asking for a decision. These are just some of the things I'm throwing out.
Let me throw something out too. On our wait list, it has a section for projects that are approved by the board but subject to the moratorium, so they can't connect until then.
Can I ask you
Right.
a question?
Now, on those pending projects, we have nothing. Seriously, we have nothing.
Yeah.
Is this gonna be an in-law apartment on
No,
this?
no, these are 2 condominiums.
And
Okay.
that's the wait list that we'll be voting on next week on our monthly meeting.
So,
So
again, these are things
An option.
that you need to think of. I mean, my biggest thing is your small user, an all person, yeah. But we are making headway on the ode to the EPA. We owe 61,000 gallons now, I believe. Something like
yeah,
that.
something like that.
61,000 gallons. Now remember, we still have not seen any flow from 320 Concord Street, 365 Concord Street, Manzella Court, 320, did I say 320? Dyer Street,
No.
and Holy Family. We have not seen any flows yet. So
We won't until next year.
we won't. So adding more is gonna hurt us. So it's at a bad time. I mean, we can't dig out of this problem overnight. It took 30 years to happen. It cannot change overnight. But these are the things you got to consider. Big thing is setting a precedent. That's all I have to say on that without them present. The next thing that'll be on Thursday night's meeting, just to refresh your memory, is Dyer Street with Michael Gaspar, Macon Gaspar. Originally, his project was for 16 units and 43 bedrooms, and he was charged accordingly. Into the project, he ran into numerous delays and funding problems. He changed the design without us knowing from 16 units to 15 units and from 43 bedrooms to 40 bedrooms. Now, based on the fees he paid at the time, which were based on 2020 rates, they were based on 2020 rates. He's looking for a refund of $14,200. I'm not asking for a vote on that. What I'm asking for you is to consider that project. I'm asking you to consider what he went through. Consider what we went through with the board, through the numerous drain layers and the problems on the site. And really, I don't have anything more to say than that. I mean,
Is the construction all done? Have all the inspections been
the
done?
construction is done on one building. He's proceeding with the other buildings to finish off this permit,
Okay,
which he has been approved for.
Yep.
Under the plan, we have his current drawings. It's for the 15 units and the 40 bedrooms. I inspected his grinder pump. His grinder pump is good to go. So he can proceed. The only thing that's going to be on the table is his request for a $14,200 refund.
do we know when he expects the project to be completed?
Let's put it this way, it's been 3 years now. I would say if he's got all his roadblocks, he's got the piping and everything else, I would say he should be completed by April, May of next year. He's looking to start renting, so as soon as he gets the okay from me, from us, he was going to start advertising the units.
He has.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know he advertised the first building. I don't know if he's advertised the others yet.
Okay.
That's all I had on that. If you want to get out of here, we can table the collection system job.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, we'll table that. I want to make sure that you did get the job description I
I
sent.
do have it, yes.
And you got a copy of it, okay,
Looks
keep
pretty-
that.
Looks pretty good.
Oh, here, I got another one, but the other one I'm saying is, I took some from the sewer department, sewer superintendent's job. What I didn't send you was, I looked at different hourly scenarios for payment. If that position were to go through, if we make it a salary, if we make it an hourly.
Okay.
The amount we would save by cutting a staff member in Veolia would be the equivalent of line one. And that would be full benefits and everything, would be saving $140,000 a year. Reason be saving $140,000 is their salary position, their hourly position rate, plus bennies, plus their markup. So according to Michael Burke, would be saving $140,000 if they, but they have to approve the amendment. It's by mutual agreement.
And again, I just wanna make sure that we're not, I wanna make sure that they can handle a reduction in staff.
Well, that's what I told them to
A
do, if they
reduction in-
can't. And I said, but the only way we can find, again, I said, I looked at all this, and I gave them a job description of the tasks that would take away from them,
Mhm.
right? It would take away from tasks that Veolia is currently doing. And free up a position. Right now, it says, contract says 7 people, they have 7.5 people, they have a part-timer.
Mhm.
But the only way we could do this is with an agreement with Veolia for a staff reduction. If they can't, then you know what, we'd have to table this position to the next contract in 3 years and put that in when we go out to bid in 3 years.
Or line budget next year.
Or if we have the money in a line budget item. I think it'd be a big plus. I think it would help us with the focus on the superintendent. But you have a job description for the, and you have the current and recommended positions.
Yes.
I've got to get on the phone.
Okay.
I don't know what I can tell you after this phone call or after not, would be what is a violation and what is not a violation. I do not see any agreement come into place really this week because I haven't seen their contract.
Now, next week, we have our monthly meeting on the
Thursday, the 20th, yeah.
Are we going to have a working session prior to that?
I'm leaving that up to you. Just so you know, there is a candidate that I am screening Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock.
Which
Don't say no, superintendent's position.
Okay. And
Doug is aware of that. I'm probably going to have Lori sit in on me,
Yeah.
or the HR
Yeah,
person.
and Lori and I did a clerk this
Can
week.
you give us an update on that?
And yes, we interviewed someone this morning, and then we have another candidate that we're working to set up for next week.
Can we do it this week?
I'm off from tomorrow through the end of the week.
should go to Pennsylvania.
No, I'm doing something else. Pennsylvania's the end of the month.
Oh.
But I did tell Lori that I wanted this wrapped up by the end of the month. So I have a full week. Next week, I gave her my availabilities.
Okay, we have to wrap this up as soon as humanly possible. I think the only qualification should be a heartbeat and a pulse optional.
I would just like to do one more interview.
Okay.
Let's interview the people that are applying.
I've covered my waiting list. Okay, now just remember, one thing I want to add to that North Ave situation, if we do take that on, we're going to owe the EPA 68,000 gallons. And remember that the infiltration removal is only going to take us 50,
Wait,
61,
North Ave is 660 bedrooms?
660 gallons
Yeah.
times
Yes.
11
7,000.
is 1,600, and times 11 is
Hold
question for you.
Wait a minute, 1,600, 16,
7,000.
7,000, okay, so we tack that on to the 51.
Yes, we owe that. yeah.
61, so that brings them up
Yeah.
to 68,000 gallons we'll
Yeah.
owe.
Is Holy
Yeah.
Family on this too?
Yeah, it's included in that 61,000. But remember, we've only found 70,000 that's possible to get out at this time.
Right,
And that's not gonna come out till next year,
right.
next
But-
fiscal year.
You know, approval doesn't mean connection.
He wants to connect right away because he wants to rent them.
That's where the problem is. Okay,
Do you know this, governor just signed a bill that you can put an in-law apartment on your house, no questions asked.
right.
Well, I don't wanna muddy up my mind. I got some serious conversations I've got to hold right now. Do you wanna have one next Tuesday?
I don't think we need to.
I would like to, okay, I'll tell you what, let's leave it at this. If I'm gonna reach out to Courtney
Let's see.
and Allison if they wanna meet and go over responsibilities for planning a sewer, that may be a good way to clarify it.
Mhm. And let them know.
If they're gonna talk about the two developers regarding sewer projects, they have to bring us in,
Yeah,
or until we get a superintendent. It could be done just as easily on a memo, but if they're gonna contact a developer on an engineering project, by all means, as far as the engineering project, it being testing of piping, they have to clue us in.
now, we said, for year 3, I&I remediation. Did we get anything from Western Sampson for the 60,000 for design and bid and all that?
No,
Are they
you,
working
I
on
thought
it?
that was gonna go through you. I
No,
did not request that.
I can do that.
I think we should hold off contacting him on that until after we iron out this other thing.
I would agree with that, yeah. That's a cool.
Now, and the other thing too, now we wanna think about, do we wanna bring in that infiltration? If we waive it to this year, just get the infiltration out. If the base does it, if we don't commit to the smoke testing.
Yeah, I thought we wanted to do the smoke testing first, though. I think we wanted to get some information.
But I'm saying if they pay for it now, and we don't have to expend that money,
It's still over budget. We still have to do some.
Okay.
I can revisit that. Okay. Okay.
I'll take a motion in today's meeting.
Make the motion.
Second,
All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Sherry?
yes.
Yeah.
Poison.